Alright, guys, so the national championship officially ended a little while ago, and the Michigan Wolverines ended up pulling out the W over the Washington Huskies by a final score of 34-13 in the national championship. And this is just a Michigan apology video because I have doubt in Michigan all season long, and especially with everything that they've had to go through throughout the entire season. I especially had a lot of doubts in this Michigan team, but they were able to prove me wrong, and this is a video apologizing to all the Michigan fans and just Michigan in general for continuing to doubt in them. So here we just go straight down the line. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines on winning their first national championship in 26 years for the first time since 1997. It's been a long time coming for the Michigan Wolverines to go ahead and win their first title in 2.5 decades now. So at the end of the day, congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines. And without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and get into more detail here. But at the end of the day, ladies and gents, Michigan deserves to win the national championship this year. With everything that they've had to go through this entire season, when it all started when Jim Harbaugh went ahead and got suspended for about half the season for the Michigan Wolverines, and not to mention when they went ahead and lost their left tackle, Zach Zinter, for the remainder of the season with the injury that he had. I had a lot of doubts in this Michigan Wolverines team, especially with a big hit like Zach Zinter to that offensive line, and especially with them not having their main head coach in Jim Harbaugh for 6 out of 12 games in the regular season. I just had a lot of doubts in this Michigan team. Didn't think they were going to be able to pull through. And the fact that they went ahead and were able to prove me wrong in a time like this just means, I have to come clean with this. I cannot be biased. I got to come clean with everything that I say. And at the end of the day, Michigan deserves it when it's all said and done. And it doesn't just stop with everything that they've went through with the O-line situation with Zach Zinter and the suspension 2 times in the regular season of their head coach Jim Harbaugh. They've been just a phenomenal team all season long, but especially when it comes to their running game, which was absolutely dominant in the national championship of Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, who have a phenomenal 1-2 punch when it's all said and done when it comes to their running game. So they have an absolutely phenomenal running game when it comes to running the football. So they did a really good job in this game, especially against Washington's defense. The wide receiver core also was really good for the most part, despite the fact that J.J. McCarthy only had 140 yards passing. The wide receiver core has just been amazing all year long. They did not have their best game, though, in the national championship, but overall all season, the wide receiver core for the Michigan Wolverines has been absolutely dominant all season long. And I can come clean and admit that they have absolutely dominated in that category. And at the end of the day, their wide receiver core overall was just completely dominant all season long. And they also proved me wrong. I didn't really have doubts in guys like Roman Wilson and Colston Loveland, who was actually my X factor for this Michigan Wolverines team. I didn't have doubts in them. I had doubts in the rest of the receivers, Cornelius Johnson, and a couple of their younger guys that they had. But at the end of the day, their wide receiver core and Colston Loveland as well was really able to prove me wrong. I never had any doubts when it came to the offensive line. I already knew that their offensive line was going to be one of the top O-lines in the country. Even with the loss of Zach Zinter, they were able to replace him with a guy that went ahead and was able to do his part just like Zach Zinter would. And at the end of the day, this O-line has done an incredible job all season long under Jim Harbaugh. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done. And then going on to the defense now, their defensive line, man, just has, again, one of the top D-lines in the country, especially the pass rush that they had in order to get to Michael Penix and bring the pressure when it's all said and done. They overall also done a phenomenal job this season in just getting to the quarterback. And at the end of the day, they've just been one of the best D-lines in the nation. And I have my full respect for that Michigan Wolverines D-line. Then the linebacker cores, they the linebacker group, they've also been really dominant, especially led by Jalen Harrell. That linebacker group has really been dominant all year, and that's also where you can go ahead and see Michigan being dominant in terms of their defense. But the main reason why Michigan ended up winning the national championship, the main reason was pretty much their secondary when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, in which Mikey Samerstill, Will Johnson, Rod Moore, all those guys have been absolutely dominant all year long at the end of the day, especially Mikey Samerstill, who will be heading on to the draft this year. But at the end of the day, he goes ahead, finishes out his college football career with a bang before heading on to the NFL draft with almost getting a pick six off of Michael Penix Jr. in the very end, in which he, at the end of the day, had a really nice game against this Washington Huskies offense, and especially with the receivers that they have, such as Rome Odunze. Mikey Samerstill especially was able to do a really phenomenal job against this Washington Huskies wide receiver core. And then same thing going to Will Johnson, who got Defensive Player of the Game for the national championship. He was also spectacular in this national championship as well. And then Rod Moore, I remember when he went ahead and got the game-winning interception in the Ohio State game, and that's where, you have to have a guy like Kyle McCord, even though he transferred to Syracuse now. That's where you have to go ahead and give Michigan's defense some credit, especially with Rod Moore getting that game-winning interception. But all that doesn't matter right now. All that matters is that Michigan has put up and developed a phenomenal secondary basically all season long. And they all did this, which I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, especially by Michigan fans, but they were able to do all this with a mediocre quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. I really still don't think he's going to find much success when it comes to the NFL, because keep in mind, he had to rely so much on the run game with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. When he gets to the NFL, he's going to have to go ahead and throw the ball so much more, especially when he comes out and decides to start for a game, whether he's a backup quarterback or ends up being a starter for like an entire season or something like that. But at the end of the day, this Michigan team has really proved me wrong. And once again, congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines for winning their first national championship since 1997. They really proved me wrong. I had all the doubts in them. And at the end of the day, this was just an apology video to the Michigan Wolverines and their fans for doubting in them all season long. Also included, in apologizing to the Michigan fans is my guy, Delusional Lions fan. Shout out to you, my guy. A loyal Michigan fan, as much as I hate saying it, because he is a fan of the team up north at the end of the day. He's one of the most loyal Michigan Wolverines fans when it's all said and done. But at the end of the day, ladies and gents, I just wanted to go ahead and make this video to apologize to the Michigan Wolverines for what they have done all season long, with Jim Harbaugh being suspended half the season, and with the injury out for the season with Zach Zinter, and with everything else that they basically had to go through. They were really able to prove me wrong in this one. So again, like I said before, and I'll say it again, and I can't say it enough, because at the end of the day, I made a deal with myself in saying that if Michigan wins the national championship, I got to go ahead and make a video apologizing to the Michigan Wolverines for what they've been able to do all season long, and that's what this video is all about. So at the end of the day, congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. Everybody on that team deserves a complete round of applause, and we all need to congratulate the Michigan Wolverines for what they've done up to this point this season for the first time since 1997 in finishing their job in winning the national championship. And at the end of the day, they had all the doubts going into it, especially when it came to playoff time. And I even had the doubts too, yet again. I had the doubts too. When it all started, they were going into the postseason 12-0, matching up in the semifinal game against Alabama, where they went head-to-head, toe-to-toe with Nick Saban, Jalen Milroe, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. They went head-to-head with that team, but at the end of the day, Michigan was just able to come out on top. But I really think that was just because of coaching. That really was not on the players. That was on Nick Saban in overtime. I'm just going to admit that right now. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter about that game, because Michigan goes ahead and wins the national championship, which, for the last time I'm going to say it, congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines on winning the national championship for the first time since 1997. You guys absolutely deserve it for everything that you have gone through, like I said before. And at the end of the day, this should be the last college football video or piece of content of the season. And I appreciate you guys for the continue of the grind here on the channel for all the college football content that has been produced, whether if it's been live streams, YouTube shorts, videos like this one. I completely appreciate you guys for your continued support. And at the end of the day, like I said, congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines on this one. And ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Peace.